A while ago I spoke about an optimization plugin that Webpack uses under the hood, a plugin that you can of course enable or disable as per your needs. And that plugin is Merge Duplicate Chunks plugin, which ensures that no two same chunks will end up in the bundle, and two chunks are the same if they fulfill certain conditions. One of the most important ones would be if they contain the exact same modules. So for example, in that video there is an index.js file that imports the same lib.js file under different chunks. And what do I mean by that is that by using the import function we will have one chunk which is called chunk 1, and by using the import function once again we will have chunk 2. So that's why we would end up with two chunks, and the chunk graph will end up looking like this. So as you can see, chunk 1 and chunk 2 are essentially the same, are duplicate chunks, so Webpack will ensure that only one of them, that only one copy will end up in the bundle. And later in the video, I walked through the algorithm which ensures that. So in the end we would end up with one chunk somewhere in the end. Anyway, in this video I would like to show you a case where Webpack cannot merge duplicate chunks, and for that I have prepared a small diagram which looks like this. Let's translate this. So we have two entry modules, one of them being index.js and the other one being lib.js, but we can see that the index file imports lib.js module. So index module imports lib module by using the import function which will create a chunk. So we would end up in the end with three chunks because as I've explained in previous videos, each entry will create a chunk. So we have one chunk from here, one chunk from here, and also by using the import function as it is without any other further options, we will have another chunk. So that's why we have three chunks in total. However, the problem is that, as you can see, we have two arrows pointing to lib.js, and those two arrows, which in Webpack parlance or in the source code will be called dependencies. These arrows will map to dependencies, but anyway, that's another topic. So these two arrows, essentially both of them will create chunks. So we could say that in this situation we will also end up with two chunks of the same module, and one would expect that Webpack will be able to merge those. However, this is not the case, and in this video I would like to quickly show you why that happens. But first, let's jump into the code very quickly. So this is the demo that I've prepared. Now we have, as I've showed in the diagram, we have two entry modules. One would be entry 1, which should be index.js, but I forgot to change its name, and the other one being lib.js. So we have two entries, so two chunks until now. Now let's quickly jump into entry 1, and we will see that it imports lib.js, but using the import function, which means once again that it will create a new chunk. So if we run this code, this program, we will see that we end up with three chunks. So Webpack cannot merge those duplicate chunks that we've highlighted in the beginning. Let's quickly inspect the bundled code. So we have entry 1, which is a main chunk or an entry chunk. So it will contain a lot of runtime code which is necessary for Webpack to have in order to properly load the application in whatever environment it is meant for. In this case it would be the browser. So all of this code will make sure that chunks are fetched, that those modules are integrated in the main chunk, and so on. So if we go at the end of this file, we'll see that this is the entry 1 file which imports the lib.js file. This line here, those lines here do exactly that. They will import that lib chunk and it will use the main module from there. Now let's see what chunk 1 looks like, which is the lib chunk, or the chunk that corresponds to the lib module. Chunk 1 is essentially what we would expect is this file here that you see above, that you see below, but it also contains some runtime code so that it can be easily integrated into the main chunk. This is a topic that I hopefully will cover in future videos about how chunks are integrated together. And lastly, let's look at lib entry, which just as entry1.js, this chunk that corresponds to the lib file will contain a lot of runtime code, which is once again necessary to load the app. Now I'm noticing that that this file doesn't contain as much as runtime code as entry1. As you can see here, entry1 has 200 additional lines of code, but this file doesn't. So it means that Webpack is doing a smart thing to not add more code than needed, which is nice. I didn't know about this. But anyway, this file, what's important to get from all of this is that Webpack won't merge duplicate chunks in this case, because one chunk is considered an entry chunk because we have used this option here. So this will mean an entry chunk, but on the other hand, we have also used this module as part of a chunk that is let's say an async chunk, because it has been created with the help of the import function. So in such situations, Webpack won't be able to merge chunks. And if we once again take a look at the bundle files, which are the chunks in essence, so what we see in this directory are the chunks. And if we look at the if we look at lib entry chunk, we will see that it has the code of lib.js. But if you take a look at chunk 1, it will also contain the same code. But the essence is that although these files, if I'm not wrong, they look essentially the same. I'm discovering a lot of things right now as well, it seems. So let's see this one, lib entry. So here we have lib entry and here we have chunk.js. No, they are not exactly the same, which is interesting. But anyway, you can see that the module has been duplicated because of what's highlighted in the right and also what's highlighted in the left side. Okay, and just to end this video, I will show you what part of the plugin ensures that, and it is this condition here. So basically, when the Webpack would find possible duplicate chunks, which in this case, let's say that chunk 1 is considered to be a possible duplicate of lib entry, Webpack will the program will reach this line that I have highlighted here, and it will check this condition if essentially one chunk has runtime, and if another chunk doesn't have runtime, then it means that Webpack cannot merge those. And what does it mean for a chunk to have runtime? If the LSP would work, but it doesn't work. Yeah, that was unexpected. Anyway, so I will just quickly tell you what this means. If a chunk has runtime, it means that it is part of an entry. So in this case, if we go back to the config, we'll see that this chunk here is an entry chunk, which means it has runtime. And about runtime I've spoken in a previous video, yeah, basically this is what I wanted to show you in this video. I'm not sure I know exactly why Webpack cannot merge those. I mean, I have an intuition as to why this condition exists here, but I feel like I still have to gain a lot of more knowledge about Webpack just to be able to fully understand this. But anyway, this was it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.